Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Chris Shiflett, owner of Trident Elite Healthcare and retired Navy SEAL in Heath, Texas. And this channel is all about providing advice, tips, tricks, and strategies to promote your health and maximize your human potential at home. If you're new to the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little notification bell to get updates when we release new videos. Also check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Trident Elite Healthcare and our website at tridentelitehealthcare.com. These are all free resources to you. We provide the latest research on conditions and solutions to conditions that you can use at home to improve your health. Now we're very big in community health and community involvement. So today I have with me Brandon Watson, who is the owner of CrossFit Heath. He's here to talk to you a little bit about CrossFit and how CrossFit can help improve your overall health as well. Hopefully answer some questions that maybe you have on your mind. Maybe you're just getting into working out. You're not really sure which way you want to go. Hopefully the information we provide today will help give you some information so that you can see if CrossFit is right for you. So Brandon, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and where your gym's located.
And so first, thank you for having me, so we can work to help others in the community. So I'm Brandon Watson. I am owner of CrossFit Heath. We're actually located in the city of Rockwall now. We began in Heath back in 2010 now, so we've been in business now for 13 years. We provide CrossFit classes. We provide nutrition to our members, and then try to work with them to improve their fitness and health.
Okay. So you said you're located in Rockwall now, and whereabouts?
So we are at 760 West Ralph Howell Parkway, which, if you know the Rockwall area, we were next to NTB, Lowe's. We were in the same building as the Onassis. So those are some of the landmarks that help people find us. Look for the Sonic where you're in the area.
Yeah, right. So Brandon, let me ask this. What inspired you to become a CrossFit gym owner, and what led you to believe that CrossFit could be an effective tool for promoting health and fitness?
Yeah, so I started coaching back in 2012, so I've been coaching now a little over 10 years. And I just saw the results within myself. I saw the results for people. And then when I had the opportunity I always kind of had an idea that I'd like to own a gym. And it's just that progression of life, I guess, for me. But I saw the results. I saw what it does for others. And I wanted to be a part of that. My previous life, I was a firefighter paramedic. And so I saw the catastrophic results of a lack of fitness and nutrition in your life, because we responded as medical providers to people that had a lot of health issues that were brought on because of just poor choices through life, right?
Right.
And we're all guilty of it. We all have a family member or even ourselves that have been there. And so I saw the results of the lack thereof. So, as a person that likes to help people, likes to provide, service to others, this was that route. I love fitness in general, and so this was an avenue for me. And to be able to own my own business and be able to continue to provide that to others, it just means a lot to me, and it's important to me.
Oh, that's great. So can you explain some of the fundamental principles of CrossFit for maybe people who don't know, maybe they're new to CrossFit, and how they differ from other fitness programs?
Yeah, so first and foremost within CrossFit, it's about accountability, and we all need accountability in all aspects of our life, as you and I have talked about. And so it kind of starts there. You come in, but what CrossFit is on the quick, we're constantly varied functional movement, and performed at relative high intensity would be how we describe it. But basically what we were doing, it's full body movement. It's functional movement, meaning that we're going to have you do squatting, right? We sit down, we stand up. These are movements that you're going to use in your everyday life, because our belief system is that you are in the gym to make your life better outside of the gym, okay? And so if we can provide that, we provide that to all age groups. I have people in my gym that are in their 70s, some are in their mid 70s. And so they're just trying to be better in life. And so we want to assist and help that. But we do that through mechanics. First and foremost, you may know that as form, but keeping good form, right? We want to do our best to prevent injury within the gym. That doesn't provide value if somebody's getting injured. That's not going to get us any further down the road. And so we start with mechanics. Mechanics are the absolute basis of everything we do. From there, we consistently want to drive home those mechanics, those movement patterns, those good mechanical movement patterns that improve our movement. And then from there, we can kind of turn up the intensity, which might be through speed or through weight. So intensity can come in different forms. But that is last of the three, right? So we are always, through our coaching on an everyday basis, providing that mechanical movement pattern, creating that consistency at a very lightweight so that you're just creating that. And then we can, as we get those down, we can then start to bring the weight up.
Yeah, you brought up a good point just about preventing the injury and the functional aspect because, as you know, that's a big part of what I do is functional movement and trying to discover dysfunctional movement patterns, weaknesses that people have. Because a lot of times, whether it's in the gym or just in everyday life, people come in with shoulder issues or knee pains or whatever the case may be, and we're able to find just something that they're doing on a daily basis that has nothing to do with the trauma they experienced that's causing their problem. And it's hard to identify that without being with someone else, working out with someone else, having a coach, or doing something like I do, the 3D functional movement. So I get exactly what you're talking about with the injury stuff.
Yep.
Now, in your experience, what are the most common critiques or misconceptions people have about CrossFit, and how do you address them? Because there is a lot of misconception and a lot of critiques about CrossFit, about how it's causing a lot of injuries and a lot, like we just talked about, injuries and just different aspects. People don't really understand CrossFit, and you've already mentioned already. It should be the fundamentals to have those movements down first before you increase. However, I know people get overzealous sometimes. So just talk to us a little bit about some of those critiques or some of the critics and misconceptions, and then how do you address those?
Yeah. So and you are right, and that comes from a few things. That first piece is the ego. We allow our ego to get in the way, especially when we come into the gym and we see people doing things. We're like, oh, surely I can do that, and then the next thing you know is we do see injury. But I view it personally from a standpoint of coaches not doing their job, right? And if we aren't driving that message home that mechanics are first and foremost, then we do see injury. And we can see that not only in CrossFit, we can see that in any gym out in America. I promise you, somebody has gotten hurt. I personally have been hurt in other gyms. It wasn't the gym's fault, it was my fault. It was something that I did. And we work really hard to try to prevent that. But for the naysayers, the thing I would ask is that you actually try it. And some had been to gyms and tried it, and things didn't go well, understandably. And I get that. But it's like all things in life, just because that didn't go well, at first attempt, maybe give somewhere else another try, because not all gyms are created equal. And unfortunately, I wish they all were. I wish we were all really striving for that. And I think they are, but maybe it goes back to that you don't know what you don't know, right? And so, the injury prevention, really, if you look at it and if you go really deep, you look at the studies, the highest injury rate within sport or fitness per se would be running. Running sees the highest amount of injuries for all exercise movements, but yet we don't hear people saying, don't run, that's dangerous.
Right.
It's just one of those things that a lot of people will have a negative look at something that maybe they don't prefer or like to do, or maybe it just kind of goes against what they've always known. You know this very well in the chiropractic world. I don't know how many times I've heard people say, oh shit, I'll never go see a chiropractor. I'm like, well, they're not all created equal. And maybe I personally have had a bad experience at a chiropractor's office. Yeah. But I've also had very good experiences at good chiropractor's office. yours being one of them. So, I kind of look at it that way. I try not to really debate it out per se, and just ask people, hey, give us a shot, give us a chance. If we're still not for you, then hey, we'll shake hands and go our separate ways. So just continue to try to provide as much value as we can to people.
Yeah, you mentioned it. That's a hard part, is trying to get over some of those misconceptions, by which hopefully things like this help provide some education, so that people, their fears are reduced, because that's the number one issue, is they have a fear of whatever they don't know or understand. And like you said, sometimes it's simply they had a bad experience, and that's unfortunate that a lot of times people stop trying something because they had a bad experience. I don't really understand where that comes from, because we wouldn't stop, getting our routine health checks with our primary care just because we had a bad experience with one. We'd go find another one.
Exactly.
Same thing with our teeth, or same thing with our vehicle. We wouldn't stop taking care of the things we need to take care of just because we had a bad experience. So I don't really understand why that happens at the gym, and specifically in the chiropractic world. But my theory is, we, as speaking on chiropractors, and you can speak on the behalf of gym owners, I think it's more our fault. It's our fault in how we educate and how we present ourselves to the community that causes misleading information, and people just have a misunderstanding. So
yeah, I would agree completely.
So let me ask this: how does CrossFit promote your overall health beyond the physical fitness aspect? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so within CrossFit, we have our what they call the CrossFit pyramid. The foundation of that pyramid is nutrition, because we know that while we need fitness helps us to move better, it helps us to build muscle, build strength. These are things we need, especially more so as we age. And I think we kind of have that misunderstanding many times that, I came across this the other day with my mother, who was actually in the hospital briefly. And the nurse had asked her, well, why are you exercising at 70 years old? And I thought, why would she not?
Right.
Like, she needs to be exercising. Yeah. Now, movement, it doesn't change as far as the kind of exercise, right? She still needs to try to build muscle. She still needs to do all the things that a 20-year-old would do. But the intensity is a difference maker.
Right.
She's obviously not going to be lifting super heavy weights, but it is heavy for her, and that's what it needs to be. Whatever it is, it's heavy for her. And so, but that being said, we start with that nutrition. We need that foundation. If we're not eating well, we're not eating healthy, whole foods, and nutrition is very basic, but we want to complicate it with a lot of marketing strategies and those things. But the reality of it is, if we eat whole, nutritious foods, we are moving closer towards the health side of things. Within CrossFit, we look at what we call the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. And if you'll think about that like a speedometer, your sickness is on empty, your fitness is on full. That wellness is kind of a half tank, right? And what we see a lot, and I know you see this often, so blood pressure is supposed to be 120/80. Well, that's well. That's not fit, but it's not sick. You're just kind of hanging out there. And what we would see is that, hey, you have normal vital signs, or you have normal blood work. That's well. But we could be more fit and move that needle to a better place, where it's going to take us longer to get to the sick place without some type of traumatic event that's kind of an uncontrolled deal. Then we're more healthy, and we're going to live a longer quality life, right? And life is more about quality than quantity. We don't get to pick the end date, unfortunately.
That's right.
But seeing what I've seen in when I worked in the fire service, I've seen people that have been sitting in nursing homes for 10 and 15 plus years. And that, to me, that doesn't sound like a great place to spend the last 10 or 15 years of your life. Versus we can see people that both of my grandmothers in their 80s are living at home, still driving, still moving, still doing really well in life. And that's what I want for everybody, to be able to live the most quality life they can live for the longest amount of time. And so the more that we can create health through good nutrition and good understanding of nutrition, through fitness, through moving well, now we start to build a life of health that keeps us from the doctor's offices. It keeps us from the hospitals. It keeps us living that life that we want. And so we really focus on that. Are we moving you towards the fit side of things versus the sick? Eventually, we're going to see a decline in life. That's just the way it's going to be. But if you start out with a higher fitness and health level, as it declines, you're still going to be better than most. And that's really what we focus to get people to is, hey, how can we create a healthy life? Not just, do you have big biceps?
Right.
Six-pack abs doesn't necessarily mean healthy. And I know people that do have six-pack abs. If you were seeing me, like, that's a healthy guy. And I know for a fact they're on hypertension medications. You're already taking medications for your health. And we can fix that through good healthy eating and through fitness. And those are things that we need to try to fix, And so that's where we work to fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that to people all the time too. A lack of symptoms doesn't mean that you're healthy.
Right.
And health is on a different spectrum, like we talked about, and the importance of movement, the importance of nutrition. And I talk about, when I talk to people, the gut-brain axis and how the brain is affected by our nutrition. And the brain is the master control system of everything. So if that's not working well, then we're gonna have problems sooner or later.
Right.
And they don't always show up, right at first. I use the analogy of an iceberg. An iceberg, the biggest chunk of that is underwater, you can't see.
Correct.
And so these little part that we do see is the small symptoms that we experience at first, and later to find out how big the problem really is. So
Yeah.
I get that totally.
No, absolutely.
So what are some of the key benefits? You've talked about them a little bit of CrossFit and how you've seen these benefits manifest in your clients. I think you hit it pretty good on the last one, but is there any in particular, I know you mentioned your mom, any other ones that really stood out as far as how those benefits have impacted some of your personal clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, I won't say his name because I don't have approval per se, but actually one of my members I was just talking to yesterday morning, and he's been dealing with a couple of things that were just years of bad posture and issues that have shown up, and they've manifested into some small injury type setup, but we continue to work with him. But I asked him, I said, hey man, since you started, how far are you down? I was like, I can already see it. And he's down 33 pounds. And I think he's been with us 3 to 4 months. And a lot of that is just going from a very sedentary lifestyle to now he's in the gym 4 and 5 days a week and just doing awesome. And that is, to me, I would rather see. I want to see the people that have made those transformations. I don't find it to be impressive. A 30-year-old guy that was fit, has always been fit, and he's still fit. Okay,
Right.
that's great. And I've kind of person been one of those guys. I've never been super out of shape. I have had to work a little bit to get back, because I thought I was doing well until I wasn't. But that being said, I just love to see that in people. I love to see that transformation. One of my members, like I said, he's in his mid-70s, and he will tell you today, and if you look at our social media, you'll see James often. I think he was actually today's post or yesterday's post, but he'll tell you at 75 he feels better than he did at 55 because of CrossFit, because of that accountability of coming in and moving, getting better movement patterns. And it's really, to me, very impressive to see that, to see my members that are in their 60s. They come in and they're just working hard at their level, and they build that relationship and that accountability with the other members, and they're just all getting better together. And for me, that's really what drives me to get up every day and go to work, is that, to see those transformations and to be able to see that improvement in somebody else's life that maybe you've been able to help.
Right.
So I love that.
So, and you already kind of went into this a little bit too, but speak to the importance of, so we talked about accountability, but the importance of the community and the camaraderie in the CrossFit environment and how that helps to contribute to people's motivation, their success, and the accountability that you're talking about.
Yeah, and so that's a piece that's very important. And now, to back that up, when we talk about some of the negative connotations that we've seen within CrossFit, that same positive piece can be a negative piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cultural thing. if you have a very competitive culture within your gym, and there's nothing wrong with competing, I'm a competitive person by nature, but when you build a culture of competitiveness in the gym, people are competing all the time. Mm-hmm. And then intensity gets out of control at the risk or at the, for the lack of mechanics. I'm willing to give up the mechanics for just being faster and beating the guy next to me. And that's where I think we made a large mistake in CrossFit, right? Mm-hmm. They see the games. Those are elite athletes that move really well.
Right.
And so we've seen that in the past where we had a very competitive culture within the gym, and people started to get outside of their lanes. And what we have tried to do at CrossFit Heath is really bring back a general fitness culture and a culture of accountability and moving well and just being better, so that we can decrease those injuries. But what comes with that is that community, that friendship. We have members. I've got a gentleman the other day that had said that he was looking to go back to California where he came from because he really didn't have any friends here until he came into CrossFit.
Yeah.
And now he's met some of his best friends and people that he shows up every day to the gym, really to see his friends, but to also get fit with them.
Right.
Another one of my members, Jay, he's come to us, I guess it's been, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. I happened to meet him at Exquisite one morning at breakfast. This is how we met. We actually were sitting about this far apart eating, and the conversation came up about CrossFit. He actually had a CrossFit shirt on, and he and I got to chat, and I told him, hey man, come check it out. Little did I know, he'd been doing CrossFit before, but he'd just moved to town. So he really knew nobody. He was moving here for work. He's actually a physical therapist locally. He had nobody. He didn't know anybody, so life was kind of starting. But because he was able to join the gym, now he has lots of friends.
Yeah.
In fact, so Jay has been able to come and meet a community of people that are like-minded, people that live their life very much the same way he does, and that's just through health and fitness. And so, as you and I talked about earlier, we need accountability in all aspects of our life, and it's just the reality of being humans. And so when you have people in your life that they're going to the gym and they maybe messaging that for, hey, you gonna be there tomorrow? Yeah. You kind of, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go do that workout because you know that they're going to be there and they're expecting you to be there. And we see that in a lot of it. On my way to the gym in the mornings, I see, walking and running clubs, I guess they are, but people out early in the morning walking together, right? Yeah. And they would likely not do that without that accountability. And we see it within nutrition. If we can provide that accountability to you, people know what to eat. If I give you an option of a salad or a Snickers, which one's more healthy? People are going to say, yes, the salad's more healthy. Right. The Snickers taste much better. And if you're not looking, I want this Snickers. But when we have somebody that we have to be accountable to, we are more likely to follow through. Even if they're just checking in on us. And within CrossFit, one of the things I do each week is I take a look. Who's been to the gym? Who haven't I seen? And if I haven't seen them, they get a message from me. I send a message to them on their phone. Hey, where have you been? Right. What's going on? And a lot of times we don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. Right. We have people, maybe they've got sick family or they've just been busy at work. Maybe they've been sick with some type of illness. And we just want to check in on that. We want to just make sure that we check in with them because they are a part of our community. They are a part of our family. And we don't sell community per se. People come to us to get a result of usually fat loss. But within that, once they get in, they find that the community is so important and it just drives us to, and this in the SEAL community especially, but you're seeing it in your chiropractor community. You guys are all holding each other or trying to create accountability within that. Yep. It just makes us all better. It makes every person better.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So again, you've talked about this just a little bit, but how do you customize some of the CrossFit workouts and programs for individuals that are on different levels so that they can hit those goals, but not step out their lane like we
That's
talked
right,
about.
yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, no, and that's the piece to CrossFit that is so important, and that's why, as a gym owner, I push my coaches to be the highest level coaches they can be, and we really strive to be good coaches because I believe that our members deserve that, and so within every class, I have people from it's their first day to they've been there for 10 years, and we have to be able to take what is that day's workout and modify it in a way that it fits that person and their fitness level. Mm-hmm. There is, 1,000 different ways we can do this, and I can write up the workout 100 different ways, but at the end of the day, I want the workout to fit within your fitness level. And so just as an example, if I was to say we were doing a workout of 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. Taking my mother at 70 years old, she can't do any of those 3 movements.
Right.
Well, I can't say, well, sorry, Mom, you don't get to work out today.
Right.
That's not getting her any further down the road. So we would modify that to fit her. So instead of a pull-up, I would have her do a ring row. We can make that as simple as just a short pull so that she's beginning to get that movement pattern down. To the push-up, we can have her all the way up to just off of a counter or a wall where she's just pushing away. She's beginning those movement patterns. For a squat, we can have her just sit down to a bench and stand back up. We can have multiple different ways to get her to the place that she needs to be. And we have to do that. We have people, got one of my members that just had a surgery but he's back in the gym and he's still rehabbing that shoulder area, but he comes in and we work around that. We work to do maybe a unilateral movement pattern. Instead of using both arms, we just use one. And there's actually studies that show by strengthening one side, it will kind of begin to balance out a little bit onto the other and allow you to regain that strength sooner. That's that neurological side that you worked so hard on.
Yep.
And so, there's still things we can do. I get people like they're saying, "Oh, I've got a shoulder thing going on." Okay, cool. Still come to the gym and we'll work around that. Like we'll show you some things you can do to help rehab that and make it better. But we can still get a good workout in. We'll still make sure that you're getting good movement in because we want you in the gym. We want to help you get better. And then from those, when we do have them, we refer them out to people like yourself or, to different, practitioners that for whatever their specialty is, will say, hey, you may need to go see your doc about that or your surgeon or go see Chris over there and he'll get you taken care of. And so, we want to modify those things to fit the person. Everybody is at a different fitness journey. Everybody's at a different place in their life. For me to expect my 75-year-old to be doing the same movements my 25-year-olds might be a little bit foolish. So we want to modify it so that they still get a great workout in. They still get better. We always say get 1% better today. And so we've got to modify it to fit that person.
Yeah, so what he's talking about is progressions and regressions of a movement pattern. There's so many different ways to do that. But I understand it's hard from the layperson's perspective. We don't expect you to know some of these things.
That's right.
You're not a coach, some of you're not a chiropractor, things like that. So there's certain expectations we don't have of you, and that's why it's important to, if you're not sure, go seek some help from somebody that does this professionally. And there, like I said, there's so many different ways that you can do this. And I know I've said it to you, but I almost never tell someone to stop doing something.
No.
Movement is a huge part of recovery. I mean, several studies show that.
Yes.
But it's all about creating the movement that doesn't recreate the pain. And so there's a way to do that other than the basic movements that people think of. So anyway, I'll leave that one there.
Yeah, and that's our job as coaches.
Exactly.
Is to find that.
So very similar question. You've already talked about nutrition and the importance of that in your pyramid and your program. How do you do that same piece, that individuality with the nutrition piece?
Yeah, so our nutrition, very similar to our CrossFit. and that we're gonna meet you where you're at, right? If I was to bring you in and just say, hey, here's a meal plan, right? You're not learning how to eat for you for the rest of your life, because unfortunately, when we look at nutrition, people see it as diet, and they see diet as a negative thing. It's a negative connotation. I always try to get people to understand you have a diet whether you like it or not. If you're eating, you have a diet. And you may or may not have control of that diet, but you have one.
Right.
And so we need to get control of that. But by doing so, we have to meet you where you're at. And we've all done New Year's resolutions where we come in and it's like, all right, January 1st, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start eating well. I'm going to do all of these things. And one weekend, we're doing none of those things. And the reality of it is what we have found is that we have to create habits. And so within our nutrition, we take a holistic approach. Within CrossFit Heath, we take a holistic approach of your fitness and your nutrition. We want to address things such as sleep. Are you sleeping well? If you're not, that's one of the number one killers of our metabolism.
Yep.
And also our fitness. If you come in and you're not sleeping, you're trying to move, you're just creating more and more stress on the body for a body that's already stressed.
It's also the only time that we actually recover,
That's correct.
despite what people think.
Mm-hmm. Just
Sitting here in a chair, you're not recovering. Your body's not in that system. Sleep is the one time that we do that, and you need an adequate amount. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so we do look at that. That's an important piece. And even in cases where I have an athlete come in, like, oh man, I was up all night with the new baby, we would tell them, hey, maybe we just move. Let's just move today. Let's not drive the intensity. Let's just move, because your body's already stressed. You're not recovered. You're not ready to go to a higher level in your fitness today. So great, you came in and you moved, but sometimes we need to take off, that day and rest and recover. I was guilty of that for years in the fire service. Might be up all night long fighting a fire, no sleep, but I gotta go hit the gym. So I come in, I'm trying to do a workout, and it just is not going well. The best thing I could have done is go home and sleep and get that rest and that recovery. My body was not in a place to do so. So we look at sleep. Let's look at stress, because stress, if we're overstressing, we're not recovering, we're not resting, we're not getting our body to a place. And many people look at exercise as just movement, or they look at nutrition just as the food that they intake. And we want to take that holistic approach. So we're looking at sleep, we're looking at stress, we're looking at your exercise. Are you exercising? We're looking at the foods that you're eating. And then we want to look at your lifestyle. It's like an alcoholic. If you're trying to get away from alcohol, the best place to hang out is not the bar. That's not getting us closer. But the same can be said if I'm trying to improve my health and I'm trying to make better decisions. If the people that you associate with the most are not on that same page and they're derailing your efforts, you're gonna fail. It's just a really hard place to create success, because the environment that you're in. Sometimes we need to remove you from that environment so that you can get that. Now that doesn't mean, hey, go give up all your friends, but maybe we lessen the nights out that we're with them,
right,
to try to improve. But within that, we take a holistic approach. Same deal. We're creating accountability with our nutrition program. We're going to check in with you every week. We bring you in once a month and actually have a one-on-one to see how we're creating success. But we're all building it around habits, because as humans, we have this need and desire, for whatever reason, to base on habits. If you look at your daily routine, it's out of habit. You get up in the morning, hopefully brush your teeth, or have at some point, hey, I brush my teeth. We do that because of habits and discipline. We had to create as a discipline. I use this often, the toothbrush analogy. If you didn't brush your teeth last night because you're tired, you forgot, and went to bed, well, you wouldn't just go to the dentist the next day and say, hey, replace all my teeth. Or if it's Wednesday, say, well, I'm not going to brush my teeth again until Monday, because I got to do that only starting Monday. You just get up the next day, you start brushing your teeth again. It's not a big deal. It's the same thing within fitness and nutrition. Just because you missed today doesn't mean, give up fitness, give up nutrition because I didn't do well at this meal.
Right.
But that's our mindset. It's like, it's wheels off for the rest of the week, right? Instead of, it's like, no, just next meal. Just pick up right where you left off and continue moving on. It's just a meal. It's not one bad meal that derails us. It's months and years of bad meals. And so we really try to take that approach where we check in with people and get them to create the habits. And we start with just small habits. We think we have to, many times with fitness and nutrition, just have a complete overhaul. Well, maybe we can make just one improvement a couple days a week.
Right.
And we start to build on those habits, okay? Maybe we're just gonna eat a cup of vegetables 3 days this week. Well, that's a start. That's still progressing us forward. And we take it as simple as that.
Right.
Because what we have found when we look at habits, if you try to change one habit at a time, a year from now, you're 80% more likely to still be doing that habit.
Right.
When you take it to 2 habits, that drops to 30% or less likely. If you go 3 or more, it's less than 5% that you're still going to be doing that habit a year later.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so we want to take that approach within nutrition. We're just focusing on that one habit. We try to habit stack it. You know, hey, when you brush your teeth, you drink a bottle of water, right? So if we're looking at hydration being one of the pieces, if we're looking at that, like, hey, just every time you do this, you add this habit because you've already created the habit of brushing your teeth. Well, now let's make the habit when we brush our teeth, we drink a bottle of water.
Right.
That's a habit stack. So we find things that you do through your day and we stack that with a habit just so that it's that reminder for you, oh, I need to drink my water.
Right.
Or we get a big, I see a gallon of water over there. We have that as a reminder, oh, I need to drink water. I know one example, one of our clients, she's a police officer, and so she needs to be drinking. We've found that she doesn't drink enough water, and she needs to be drinking more water. And actually, she came up with this, which was great. Every time she does a vehicle stop as a police officer, she takes a drink of water, and she has to drink water before and after she makes that stop. So it's just a habit that hey, she knows that I'm going to pull somebody over. It's her job.
Yeah.
And she's going to drink some water. So little ways we can try to help people, but it's looking at that holistic approach. We have to look at it. Are we making ourselves healthy through multiple avenues? And until we address sleep, stress, hydration, food, exercise, lifestyle, and then create the accountability to that, we just don't see success. We see that the statistics are 93% of diets fail. Well, it's not the diet, it's the person.
Right.
It's the person that's failing, not the diets. The diets work. It's just we don't, unfortunately. So.
Right. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here with one final thought or questions, kind of a multi-part piece here. But what advice would you give to someone who's new to CrossFit or considering starting a CrossFit program and looking at the different gyms, because there's several in the area, what maybe makes yours a little bit different, but what advice would you give someone just in general for considering CrossFit?
Yeah, so I see online often, hey, what's the best gym?
Yeah.
And everybody chimes in, and I really do appreciate. I love my members, and I appreciate they chime in. CrossFit Heath is the best gym. Yes, we think we are the best gym. But that being said, I would tell you, try them all because every community is a little bit different.
Yep.
Everybody is, maybe one community doesn't fit your setup, your life, your likes. Everybody's a little bit different. Maybe the coaching is a little bit different from one gym to the next. So I always encourage people, try them all out, right? The other gyms aren't bad gyms. So proximity obviously is an important thing to most people, what's closest to you. But most gyms that I'm aware of will let you come try it out for free. You can come check it out, see if it's for you, and gain that experience. And so I would encourage you, go try them all out. Again, I don't have anything negative to say about any of the other gyms. I know my gym, and that's what I know. And so, but that's always my piece of advice to people is just go try it out, and you can always try multiple gyms out. It doesn't cost you anything. They'll usually let you come in for free and check it out for a day and see if it's for you. And so start there. And then, I guess second would be go try it out, right? Don't just because somebody says they didn't like it, and the likelihood is they've probably never tried CrossFit. And even if they have, maybe they just didn't have the experience. And so if it's something you're interested in, check it out. It will cost you nothing. And that's the only way you're going to know if it's a best fit for you. And I'll say this, CrossFit isn't for everybody, just like bodybuilding isn't for everybody. Cycling isn't for everybody. We have people go to cycling classes. And hey, if that works for you, excellent. I will always tell you, do the exercise that you're going to continue to do.
Absolutely. And
if that's just getting out and walking, start there. That's a great place to start. But do that you're going to enjoy to come back to. Otherwise, you're not going to do it, and it's not going to be fun. When somebody tells me they ran 10 miles today, I'm like, good for you. It is not my thing. It is not my thing. But that's not going to lead me to knock them for what they did. I'm going to give them a high five, great job. But it's not my thing. I love CrossFit. I love the workouts. I love the structure of it. It works for me, works for a lot, and it can work for anybody. But you have to figure out what flavor is for you. Each CrossFit has its own little different flavor because understand we are all individually owned. We are CrossFit, but CrossFit itself doesn't own us per se.
Right.
So versus other gyms, they're dictated by that experiences. You go to a restaurant, you go to a Chili's, all Chili's are the same.
Right.
They're Chili's. And so CrossFits are a little bit different in that aspect, that they all have a little different flavor. And again, when I talk to a member from another gym, more times than not, they're going to tell me it's the greatest place they've ever been, which is good, and they should. And I'm glad to hear that they say those things about their gym, because it's the community for them. And so really take a look at that. That's the big important piece I would tell people. And then again, I will always say this, try it for yourself, not because what somebody else is telling you in the negative. That's just in life, right? If it's something you want to try, give it a try. Again, just like chiropractors, just because somebody is just absolutely against chiropractors doesn't mean chiropractors are bad and that they don't provide a great service. It just wasn't for that person for whatever reason. And so CrossFit would be very similar in the same setup.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, and some of those connotations. And I agree with you 100% too about the feedback. And in Google reviews and different things like that, it's great feedback. It's a great starting point per se. But just like you said, even in chiropractic, most doctors have a free consultation to where you can come in and sit down and you can physically see the person and talk to them, look at the office and whatever, and you can have a better idea. Is this a place that I want to be? Is this a person that I would trust to work on me? All those things. There's no harm in doing that. And so, yeah, that always blows my mind a little bit too. And when people, ask for recommendations, and, like I said, everybody's going to chime in for what they know and like.
That's right.
I mean, that's just the way it goes.
That's right.
But that doesn't mean it's going to be right for you, because there's a good chance that it wasn't right for someone else.
That's right.
But they didn't chime in.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Because they didn't want to be negative, which is good. No one likes negativity. They didn't want to be negative, but it wasn't right for them. And so you won't know until you go try that out. And that's right. And see. So I'm glad you hit that point, because it really falls in line with how I believe as well. All right, Brandon. That's all I got. That's all I got for you guys. Hopefully you've learned something. You got some information about CrossFit. Maybe we dispelled some myths or misconceptions or critiques and that sort of thing. If it's something you're interested in doing, just like we said here, go try it out. Most gyms around, at least all the ones I've been to, offer at least a free session where you can go in, you can meet some of the people, you can try a workout, you can see if it's the right place for you. I like the CrossFit community. I've had a great relationship with all the CrossFit gyms in the community, so I definitely think it's a great program. Like you said, it's not for everyone, but hopefully this gave you some information. That's all we got for you today, guys.